It's Thursday, April 15th. You and your family need to get ready. Prices at the grocery store are starting to skyrocket and hit levels that you may have never seen before. I want to thank everybody for being here. Please hit the subscribe button, the bell alert, so that you get alerted when a new video comes out, and like and comment on this video. It really helps us. Kelly and I went to the grocery store yesterday and we were surprised by the new influx of micro packaging. That's what they're doing. They are micro packaging and charging you the same amount of money. What used to be a pound's worth of materials will now be a half pound, 3/4 pound. They'll make the bag bigger, they'll make the box bigger, but they are giving you less. This is just the beginning. You need to start getting ready for what's going to happen in the next couple of months when this level of hidden inflation begins to take off. Democrats are putting pressure on the current administration for more stimulus checks. They're asking for new stimulus checks to come out. You see, there was like a 10% increase in retail spending in the last couple of weeks, and that's because the stimulus money went out. People had more money, they paid off some of their debt, and they took the rest of that money and did just what they were supposed to do. They took that money and funneled it right back into the corporations, the retail giants, not mom and pop shops, not little restaurants. No, they funneled it right back into the big guys, so those big guys could pay their taxes or not pay them and then give back-end deals to Congress and other lawmakers. This was the plan all along. So now they're asking for new stimulus checks to come out. While millions of Americans continue to find hardship during these trying times, political leaders are already asking the current administration, the current president, to begin drawing up plans for a fourth round of stimulus money and recurring economic relief payments to the American people. Without this, they say, there will be no recovery beyond the waves that are seen after the stimulus money goes out. Right? That makes sense. They send money out to people, people spend that money. This is the new game plan. This is the soft universal basic income that they're looking for. But what's going to happen is you're going to continue to see that that money is worth less. You go to the store and you want to buy a bag of chips. Now you get a child-sized bag of potato chips, but it costs you the same amount of money. In some cases, it costs you more for less. But that doesn't matter, does it? Because they're just going to print out some more money, push it to the American people, and so the people will buy 2 bags of chips, 3 bags of chips, just so they could get the same amount that they got just a couple of months ago, a couple of years ago. This is a control measure that will burden the American people. People all over the world. I know it's not just happening in America because we get reports and videos and pictures in from people all over the world that are saying, look at the size of these boxes, look at the price, look at the empty shelves. This is just beginning. There are nearly 100 lawmakers currently pushing for recurring direct payments, including 56 House Democrats, who are asking current running President Joe Biden and his administration to begin plans immediately to install new payments to the American people. We're experiencing the worst economic crisis since the Great Depression, they warned, with millions of Americans unemployed, forced out of work, or facing a decline in hours and wages. There was a report recently directly from the White House that said if inflation doesn't increase with wages, you're going to see a massive economic crisis. When has inflation increased with wages over the course of the last decade? It hasn't. They know what's coming. They know what time of day it is. It's time for the rich to get richer and the poor to get further into servitude. They say that, recapping what they're asking for, they're requesting a new call to action. Lawmakers are saying to continue monthly or stimulus payments until economic recovery is in full. Prioritize those who need it the most. Include older dependents such as the disabled and elderly. Add improved administrative outreach. We all know what that means, right? Improved administrative outreach. Well, that's a nice way of saying a little bit more control measure. Ensure the IRS makes automatic payments available. In a new call to the president and his administration, lawmakers are reported to have warned that this crisis is far from over. We know that, but we're not saying the exact same thing, are we? They're saying the crisis is far from over, but what they mean is that people aren't giving back the same amount of money that they had hoped for because a lot of people are still spending it. They're paying off previous debt and not getting further into new debt. You're just a pawn to them. You're supposed to go out and spend your money. You're supposed to put it on credit card debt, get your 30-year mortgage, refinance that home, make it a 60-year mortgage, get that 5-year car note, get it on 24% interest rate. That's great, because that means you're going to have to be in servitude just for that much longer. And the only way you're going to be happy with your life, this isn't you, of course, this is the general populace. The only way that they're going to be happy with their life is if they can go out and take their 2 weeks of vacation, or if they can go out and get their beer and sports, and then they can say, okay, I get 1 day a week to be a human, 6 days a week to give to my slave masters. This is the new America. In other news that is beginning to affect Americans, the U.S. spy chief is warning of an unparalleled threat from China. We've been talking about this recently. Security agencies have been talking about it. Military strategists, that we are going to see a hands-on conflict, a kinetic conflict with China or with Russia, not just a proxy conflict, a hands-on conflict in the course of the next couple of months or years. The CIA director, William Burns, and other leaders that are shaping the American landscape are warning that the people of the USA face an unparalleled threat from China. They released this report on global threats, warning that disease, fundamental differences between the rich and the poor, environmental issues, conflicts within the nation. Take note of what they're looking at there. Disease, the rich-poor gap, conflicts within the nation. It sure seems like there's a lot more war within than war without, doesn't it? They're saying that these pose great challenges to the citizens of the country, greater than they ever have before in the history of the Republic. That's my notes, of course, on the Republic, because you won't see that mentioned on mainstream media and you won't see that mentioned on official reports. A war with the economic giant is coming in months, they say. They warn that China is increasingly a near-peer competitor, challenging the United States in multiple arenas while pushing to revise global norms in a way that favors authoritarian Chinese systems. They warn that the nation of China has substantial cyber capabilities that, if and when deployed, will drop U.S. infrastructure. You like having your lights on? Sorry, we've got a key switch for that. You like having water? Sorry, we've got a key switch for that. They know what's going to happen, and they're prepared to take new avenues in this conflict. Economists are warning that the immediate threat to the American people posed by the crushing economy will devastate households across the country as prices increase at a rate from 40 to 50%, a rate that people cannot cope with. What's going to happen, they say, when this high from stimulus programs wears off? I don't see growth as being particularly durable, warns the chief economist for the Americas. The economy is going to slow a lot more than people think. It's going to be well under 3%. One-time spending has really been the catalyst for long-term growth. Fiscal and monetary policy that now serves as irresistible tailwinds will soon be turned into headwinds, they're warning. On the other side of this huge burst of activity will be an economy that is beset by inequality and two-speed recovery that will take more than the occasional government transfer payment. They're setting up the scales here. Let's get recurring stimulus payments to the American people. You see, the rich don't ever want to get less money. You could take a multi-billionaire. You could take somebody like the owner of Amazon. You could take Microsoft. You can take all of these people, all of the richest of the rich. They could take such a small amount of their wealth, and they could do away with poverty. They could give everyone a home on a piece of land with a garden so they can grow their own food. And by the time that money gets spent, they would have lost nothing, because their money that they already have in the bank makes enough interest that it would have paid for that entire amount. But the rich don't ever want to get less money. They can have more money than they could ever know what to do with, and they still want more. Greed is a very real thing. There's nothing wrong with being wealthy. There's nothing wrong with having money. There's nothing wrong with strokes of luck that give you opportunity. What there is something wrong with is inequality, that you don't have the same opportunity as somebody who was born into that system, the system that seems to only give the powerful more power. Let's get back to the story here. At this point, I don't see businesses making a longer-term commitment to building factories, employing more people, or anything that would have a long shelf life, because you're not sure what the regulatory and tax environment is going to look like. That's one economic strategist. Employment data continues to indicate a slow recovery for years to come, they say, even with a slight drop recently. Years to come until we see return to normal levels. Millions of hospitality jobs are lost forever. The Federal Reserve estimates that the jobless rate for the bottom quintile is in the 20% range. The biggest risk to the expansion, they say, is the Fed, the Federal Reserve, not so federal. That's Steve Blitz. He's chief U.S. economist at T.S. Lombard. The puppet master is trying to control a puppet that they do not have control over. Consumers are so far using the stimulus that they've received to buy and invest, yet they continue to show caution. The 3 rounds of checks have seen progressively less spent and more saved. What economists call the marginal propensity to consume has fallen from 29% down to 20%. And it's just getting less and less. People are saying, you know what, things aren't getting better. I'm going to maybe not spend that money on a new TV. Even though retail saw a huge increase, you have to look at the big picture here. You have to see the large picture. Yes, people are still going to go and do dumb things. They're still going to go and do things they shouldn't. They're still going to forego buying a piece of property, paying off their car, getting out of debt. And there's some people are still going to go do ignorant things with that money. That's okay. No matter what, you're always going to have people doing ignorant things in the world. But the problem is everyone is not following that suit. Everyone is not keeping up with the Kardashians, as they want to say. Everyone is not envying the extremely powerful, the extremely wealthy, and say, you know what, I want to live their lifestyle where it looks like they're on vacations and mimosas all day long. Instead, people are saying, you know what, I don't think things are going to be the same after this. I'm going to hold on to this a little bit. I'm going to invest it in myself. And a lot of people are taking opportunities that they have never been given before. They're buying some land, starting a garden, getting some cattle. No matter what it is, they're making better choices. Economists are afraid of that because if people stop consuming, they are out of a job. Lawmakers are afraid of that because if people stop consuming, they're going to be out of a job because this system has become so corrupt that their money, their millions, rely directly on lobbying, rely directly on Coca-Cola, tobacco companies, all these different pharmaceutical agencies giving them money. So when people stop consuming, they're out of a job. You and your family should get ready for what's coming. Guys, from my family to yours, please stay safe, remain vigilant, and keep watch.